Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Benson, and today is the first episode of Tank Tire TV. We are here with the founder of Nash Innovations and the founder of the Tank Tire, Tim Nash.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, man, let's rock and roll. So tell us about Nash Innovations, and then we'll go into your product, because it's an awesome product.
Absolutely. So at Nash Innovations, we focus on product design, manufacturing, patenting, and really overall finding products that can help add revenue to companies' businesses. So find other sources of revenue for companies and really be a first-to-market product innovator. So find products that do not exist and obviously solve a problem for the end consumer, and develop them, patent them, and ultimately manufacture them.
Awesome, awesome. So how did you come up with the Tank Tire, and what was the itch you were trying to scratch for the consumer, really?
So I've been an avid griller my whole life, and I've moved around. I've lived in many different places, and one thing I noticed and became very evident living here in Florida is I have an extra propane tank because I never want to run out if I have guests over, or even for myself and my family. And I noticed that the propane tank was rusting on my patio, and it was very hard to remove the rust because it was like a stamped concrete. And one day I was actually setting the propane tank down. I came back from refilling it, just setting it down, and I don't know if everyone's aware, but a propane tank full of propane weighs about 40 pounds. And each propane tank has what's called a foot ring on the bottom of it. And the most standard type of propane tank that we all use is a 20-pound propane tank. So I set the 40-pound propane tank down, and it actually chipped the concrete on my patio. So I'm getting rust rings, I'm ruining my patio, and here's actually an example of a wood deck. Now in Florida we don't really have wood decks here, but in the Midwest where I grew up we do. And this just shows and illustrates, this is actually after 3 to 4 months of a propane tank without a tank tire on it, just showing the damage. It actually puts, you can touch it and feel it, indentations into the wood. And it also puts rust and dirt, finds its way into those indentations. So, excuse me. So, I had to come up with a solution. I wasn't happy with how it was ruining my patio. So I scoured the market. I Googled it. I looked on the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website to see if there was a product out there, and there wasn't. So after months of designing, measuring, looking for manufacturers, the one thing I noticed is propane tanks of the 10, 11, 15, and we'll touch on that in another episode, 20, 30, and 40-pound propane tanks all share the same size foot ring. And I can actually show you what a foot ring is. So the one thing that I noticed after much research is, and this is your regular 20-pound propane tank, obviously empty, brand new tank, this is what you would call the foot ring. And one thing I noticed after all of my research is there was one common element, and that is 10, 11, 15, 20, 30, and 40-pound propane tanks actually all have the same size foot ring. So the light bulb went off that, hey, we might have something here. And so then I sought to design a product that was not big and bulky. I didn't want anything that wouldn't fit inside of my grill, that I couldn't have on the propane tank when I was carrying the propane tank to my car, put it in my car. And I needed something flexible enough because these foot rings most often actually come damaged, whether they're brand new or not. Certainly from a propane exchange, people drop them, they get wear and tear, and they get bends. So I had to have something flexible enough to accommodate for these bends in the foot ring. So I did a lot of, obviously, as I mentioned, measuring and design work, and came up with the tank tire. And the tank tire it's a specialized rubber polymer ring with a molded channel throughout the whole ring, and it's designed to specifically fit on to the foot ring of these propane tanks. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to put on. Now, you wouldn't slam a propane tank like that on your concrete, your tile, your stone patio, because it's going to chip it, could potentially cause a spark as well, which we'll touch on in a later episode as well. But that is really the genesis of how I came up with tank tire. Before I brought the product to market, I asked grillers, friends, family, strangers, do you have rust rings on your patio? And in every circumstance, the answer was yes. And what I also learned, and it's been a learning process the whole way, is actually there's many more people that use propane tanks besides grillers. You have tailgaters. Right now we're in football season. You have RVers. Look at RVs going down the road. Almost every RV has at least 2 propane tanks on it, of the 20-pound variety, and some 30 and 40 pounders. AC installers, plumbers, boaters. There's just so many different people who not only use these different sized propane tanks, but really don't want to damage their investment by having a propane tank leave rust, damage, scratch. Believe it or not, even when you put a propane tank inside the grill, I've had customers say they've scratched the grill up enough, the grill is now rusting. So it really is a solution for most every type of scenario. And because of the flexibility of tank tire, we're able to do something that no other product on the market can do, and that is fit new, used, or damaged propane tanks, but also fit propane tanks of different sizes. So we are the only product on the market to be able to do so. And we are a proudly made in the USA product as well. And tank tire is also a patent pending.